Hi, this is Chris Young, and welcome to Good News on Tap for the 29th Sunday of Ordinary Time. Among the various lessons I teach in our inquiry classes at my church is a class that I call a total failure class. I call it that because it's my job to teach the entire New Testament in a single 2-hour session, and every year I fail to do that. But what I am able to do in 2 hours is to give a brief overview of the four Gospels. I compare the style and the content and the emphasis of each of the Gospel evangelists. Each of the four Gospels has its own unique character. They were written in different points in time, intended for different audiences. Now currently our Sunday Scripture readings are from Cycle C of our 3-year cycle, and that means that the Gospel readings come from Luke. One of the unique characteristics of Luke's Gospel is it seems everyone is on a journey. We get the story of Mary's journey to meet her cousin Elizabeth. There are lots of other stories about people taking journeys throughout Luke's Gospel. That theme extends all the way into the Acts of the Apostles, which was also written by Luke, when he tells about the two disciples on the road to Emmaus, and on their journey they encountered the risen Jesus, even though they didn't recognize him initially. As they're journeying along, this stranger who is journeying with them explains all of the scriptures and how the Messiah was supposed to be a suffering servant. Finally, in the breaking of the bread, their eyes are opened and they recognize Jesus among them. One of the reasons Luke put so much emphasis on process and on journey is that he and his community were beginning to realize that the second coming was not an event that was necessarily coming immediately. Luke and his audience were discovering that Christian life was a lengthy process. We may get excited over a big conversion experience when we first discover God and discover his role in our life. But the real test of our faith is not that big, charismatic, come-to-Jesus moment, but it's the daily grind of living out the Christian faith, of being persistent in the face of troubles and turmoil, and to not go astray. To recognize that God's with us always, and is journeying with us and supporting us. So all of the scripture readings this week are about being patient and persistent, and how God is supporting us throughout. In the Old Testament, Joshua was engaged in a fierce battle, and as long as Moses kept his arms raised in prayer, the battle went well. But when Moses would get tired and lower his arms, the battle went poorly. Moses had help, and his assistants would prop him up so that he could continue to pray, and Joshua and the chosen people prevailed in the battle. The psalm this week describes the Lord as our guardian, who will not let our foot slip, and who guards us day and night and protects us from evil. In the second reading, Paul exhorts us to be faithful with what we have learned, and, quote, be persistent, whether it's convenient or inconvenient. Convince, reprimand, encourage, through all patience and teaching. And he suggests using Scripture as our support. And then finally in the Gospel we have Luke, who relates a parable of Jesus about a woman who was seeking justice from an unscrupulous judge. Because she is persistent, the unscrupulous judge eventually rules in her favor. How much more will our God, who loves us, reward our persistence? Right now, there are a lot of people suffering in our troubled economic conditions in this country. It's the worst recession since the Great Depression, and even though the technical indicators say technically the recession is over, there's still a widespread unemployment and underemployment. People don't feel like it's over yet. For them, it's not. People are going through tough times, and they're looking for quick fixes. But whatever solutions we discover for these problems, and whatever party they come from, it's going to take time. We need to be persistent in our actions and persistent in our prayers, because as Jesus says in today's gospel, Will not God then secure the rights of his chosen ones who call out to him day and night? Of course he will. And that's Good News on Tap for the 29th Sunday in Ordinary Time.